My only comment on that is that Trump's the only person whose house got raided that I know of that had a SWAT team there with their guns drawn. Like this guy, John Bolton, just the FBI going in and like checking through his document.
But also, Trump has claimed to have no prior knowledge of the FBI raid, and as he put it, on low-life John Bolton before it happened. I'm going to get into 3 points from this video that I think potentially backs up what y'all are saying. So,
Awesome.
What they're not telling you about the raid on John Bolton's house. This is from the Jimmy Dore Show. These are 3 interesting points that they raise in this video. The first one is
they would have something. That's what makes me think what Doug said originally is this isn't about the book. This is about something bigger or deeper.
So most people have seen the news that the FBI raided the home of Trump advisor turned critic John Bolton in a national security probe. So John Bolton, the former national security advisor during Trump's first term, recently had his home outside of Washington, D.C. raided by the FBI randomly. And it's possibly related to his book that he released after Trump's first term, which was called The Room Where It Happened. And it details some of the events from when he was the national security advisor. He used to be a supporter of Trump. Obviously, if he was, in his admin the first time around, but over the last several years, he's turned a harsh critic. Many people are saying this is just political persecution. But you've got to remember that Trump's house got raided at Mar-a-Lago. Roger Stone's house got raided at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's like, if you call this political persecution, you'd have to say the same thing about what the left did. But also, Trump has claimed to have no prior knowledge of the FBI raid. And as he put it, on low-life John Bolton before it happened. I didn't even know this was taking place. The FBI is doing their own thing. Obviously, he doesn't have his hands in every part of the government.
Right.
This is interesting. Since that, John Bolton has slammed Trump even more than ever before. He's gotten really mad about it, and obviously calling political persecution. What are y'all's initial thoughts? And then I'm going to jump into what they're not telling you about the raid on John Bolton's house. So there's a little bit of critical information that flips this story on its head, potentially.
I think that Trump is pretty smart because I think what he did was when he got into office and he hired people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and stuff to run these agencies, he knew that he hired somebody that he could actually just trust to do their job. That way he could be hands off on things like this and just let them do their job and not have to worry about it. That way he's not implicated, because if he did know previously beforehand, that would be a whole different story. And this would be a lot less legitimate of an operation. And I think that it's really interesting to watch because he just is straight up trusting those guys to just, hey, do the job, do it right. And I'm like, just let me know if I need to know something. And if I don't need to know it, don't let me know. That's an intense position to be in.
Yeah, I'm curious what the eventually the end result of what they're saying, why they're raiding and what they're like kind of, obviously they must think that John Bolton is guilty of something or potentially guilty of something. My guess from just the only thing that I know about this whole story is it's probably about his book. So of course Trump accused him of, and others have accused John Bolton of the book that he published, saying like he was profiting off of sharing confidential information, which, that's the accusation, right? Is like there's information in that book that he shared about his time working as a top aide for Trump that is confidential, that was supposed to be shared with the public. John Bolton claims that he got permission from like the National Security Council or whoever it's supposed to be over. He claims that he got some kind of permission, that everything he shared was on the up and up and fine. But I know that's the accusation. So I'm curious if them going to his house and gathering documents is the precursor to them trying to prosecute him for something like that. I don't know. I was trying to figure out what it was, and I was, the like Kash Patel and people like that. They're really like, this is JD Vance. He was the one. His take on it was like, they're the very, very beginning stages of looking into something. We were worried about something, and we just wanted to check in and see if our suspicions, played out, that kind of issue. And it's just like, well, what's the suspicions? What do you think that what do you think he's guilty of? Is it just the book or is it something else?
Investing can be confusing and scary, but it doesn't have to be. Genesis Gold Group takes the guessing out of the game and guides you on your gold investment journey. We at Filibusted love the genius design of the prepper bar, which breaks up into sections, kind of like a chocolate bar. But if you prefer high security insured gold storage, they have that too. And unlike Fort Knox, the gold is actually there, 100% owned by you. So don't wait to get started. Visit filibustedgold.com today for a free investment guide from Genesis Gold Group.
I think that he's got a little bit more of a connection to the Steele dossier than he might be willing to admit.
I think to me it seems like there's something deeper there. Like I just think it's interesting though when you see like the left go and do all of this actual political hits on people for literally political reasons, like against Trump, and then you see something that has the potential to be legitimate. And is not on its face a political thing, you see what they all start crying about. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm guessing there's something there. I really have a high doubt that this would be political. I don't think that that's kind of out of step with other actions we've seen taken.
My only comment on that is that Trump's the only person whose house got raided that I know of that had a SWAT team there with their guns drawn. Like this guy, John Bolton, just the FBI going in and like checking through his documents. But when they raided Mar-a-Lago, however you say that,
they made a bigger show of it, and they did that with arresting other people too.
Had a SWAT team, guns drawn, like as if they were,
and they did
a hostile territory. Yeah,
they did that with other people that they arrested too. I'm trying to think of who it was, but they had, instead of like they showed up at 1 a.m. with all these guns and everything and arrested somebody versus. They thought he was going to flee, I think, and then instead of just like, "Hey, by the way, can you come down to the police station for and that's how they did it. They did a big show of it and everything. And so here you see something that was less dramatized for the political theater we call DC.
In my opinion, that is a hint at authenticity because if you have nothing, then you have to put on a show. But if you have something, you might not really need to put on a show. You just need to go get it. You know what I mean?
Do the thing and roll.
Well, I think those are great points, great perspective. I'm going to jump into what they're not telling you. So this is a video
wrong.
Recently. What?
I said, but they're all wrong. Was the impending I
like them very nice.
No. I don't think they're necessarily wrong. But I'm going to get into 3 points from this video that I think actually potentially backs up what y'all are saying. So
awesome.
What they're not telling you about the raid on John Bolton's house. This is from the Jimmy Dore Show. And in a second, I'm going to show you. He actually references Stephen Gardner, who's another YouTuber, and gets information from him. So these are 3 interesting points that they raise in this video. The first one is they say he's very hated, talking about John Bolton. He never met a country he didn't want to overthrow and steal their natural resources.
Wow.
He's known for his aggressive interventionist stance on foreign policy. He's constantly advocated for military solutions over diplomacy. And because of that, the point they're making is he's disliked by everybody. So here's a Politico article from, I believe, 2020. Everybody in Washington hates John Bolton. So this is a quote from this article. Republicans say he's a disgruntled sensationalist who's merely trying to make money off his book. And Democrats, once buoyed by Bolton's turn against Trump, now say he's unpatriotic for documenting his claims in a book rather than testifying before Congress during Trump's impeachment inquiry. So everybody hates him, right? And the point there being, if they find incriminating information, it's going to be easy to prosecute him because nobody's going to stand up and nobody's going to defend him. He's just going down. Like if
man's
they find
on an island, right? All by himself.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the second thing. Second piece of information is they clarify in this video. Some people believe you have to find the classified papers that you're supposed to keep at the office or wherever the classified information is supposed to remain, because he still has an office in Washington, D.C. But that's actually not the case. They clarify it's not about the piece of paper, it's about the information itself. And John Bolton apparently, according to some sources, took copious notes on yellow pads that he then took to his home. And so when the reporters, there was a whole group of reporters, if you see the video, standing out in front of his home while it's being raided, and they pan the camera over and there's just like dozens of reporters and journalists sitting there waiting for something to happen, and filming it. And they watched the FBI just take in boxes and boxes into his house, obviously to gather documents and bring them back out. Right. So they're looking for any classified information that he may have taken notes about and then stored in his house. So there's that. It should be pretty easy to find something like that if he had it on him or if he had it in his house. The third thing that they mention is they actually mention a claim made by Stephen Gardner, another YouTuber, and this is what he claimed, that John Bolton has grown very wealthy recently and nobody knows why or where he got the money from. The implication being that he was potentially selling state secrets.
Dang.
So I guess we'll have to wait and see if Stephen Gardner's implication and his assumption, plays out to be true. What are y'all's thoughts?
So interesting.
I think it's pretty interesting. I was just showing you that I have all these are not his yellow notepads. If you saw them on my shelf there.
Do those have security secrets written down on them?
Don't say that.
Is that confidential information?
I'm not gonna, you can see the back of it. That's all.
Does it have John Bolton's signature at the bottom, Ryan?
Right. Oh man. I think I have zero doubt that could be what's happening. Like, I mean, I'm sure you would think that he had some way of covering that up or whatever, but I don't know. It just seems like to me, very odd. Hey, here's your options. You can either go and take this information to Congress that's not going to actually end up doing anything because it's not incriminating Trump, or you could take this information and you can go put it in a book and make millions of dollars and then also go and sell it to other people as well that want to use that information, but you get it to them in a way to where it doesn't look like you got it to them. But go ahead and put the book out and distract them from the actual thing you're doing to make more money. And so let's get people talking about the book. So they didn't fall for it though, because they're talking about all of it. So I think it could be interesting.
Well, here's one of the problems with the book scenario is that the book's been out since 2020, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, shouldn't the FBI have figured out if there's any classified information released in the book by now, And one of the problems with that is if the information's classified, then there are very few people who actually know that it's classified information. And if it winds up in a book, it's going to take a long time for them to go, wait a minute.
But I would think
that one little bit snippet right there should never have made it into the public eye, and he shouldn't have had it saved anywhere. So that's the issue. Is like it could take a long time to determine what part of this was classified and what wasn't, because even the people looking for it don't know what's classified and what's not.
But I think the people that could be evaluating that would have an idea of what is classified type of information. Like I don't think you would say this is not generally what people would know or what the public would know. Right. So in 5 years, I would expect that they would have something. That's what makes me think what Doug said originally is this isn't about the book. This is about something bigger or deeper. Perhaps those that money that he has gained that's related to those secrets that he's been sharing. Well,
I think he might have. There's a potential that he is connected to the Steele dossier via back doors and stuff, like his PAC. He's got a PAC that has had money contributed to it that's connected to the Clintons, that's then connected to the Steele dossier. And it's like, I wonder how much money he was paid to just turn a blind eye. Things like that. Like, I'm not sure. None of this is provable is the problem. And that maybe that's what they're trying to do is see if there's anything there. But, he's at some point with his position in the time frame that he was in that position, something came across his purview that he did not look at or speak up about intentionally. And I wonder if it's because he just got paid to not do that. I don't think he's like directly involved in making anything happen, but I do think he might have just been like, sure, I'll not talk about that if you want me to.
Or even if it...
Even if it would have come in, if this is about the Steele dossier, I find that a little bit honestly hard to believe, because if the FBI was trying to go after somebody for that kind of stuff, I think there's probably a lot more people that they could be going after that were
they are.
Than John
They're doing
Bolton.
it all, though. They are going after a lot more people for the Steele dossier.
Yeah, I guess. I know they have other things happening and going on. I don't know. This whole thing, my guess would be that they are accusing him of selling state secrets more recently. That would be my guess on this, of why they're going and looking for specific information at his house. I would be very surprised if it ends up going back to like just being the book scenario. I'd be honestly pretty surprised at that. But I could see them trying to nail him on something if he really was involved in some way with Steele dossier. Obviously, there was a lot of people that were involved in that. But yeah, I don't know, this guy, as far as like all the people that you can like nail on something, like I don't know, this guy seems to be pretty much bottom of the list in my opinion. Like I honestly had to look up who John Bolton was, but I don't follow politics as much as maybe I should.
Yeah, he's been making the rounds though. I see him all over these different talk shows, and it's pretty clear very quickly where he lands, what side he lands on things. It could have been also like you were talking about, Doug, like if he maybe abstained from sharing information or supporting something just because that might have, even whether somebody else was paying him or not, he could have known his future plans about leveraging the information or leveraging whatever, and that could have gotten in the way of his ability to do that, future pacing. And who knows? That's kind of speculative, as all of it is. But
we're still in early stages of this investigation, obviously. So whatever comes out, comes out. So I don't know. It depends on. I think if I understand how the legal process works in this situation, they're going to have their reason for rating it, right? But then they might have sub reasons in that, whatever. I don't know what sort of forms they use or whatever. But basically, the way the law works is you can't incriminate somebody for something that you didn't already say you were investigating them for. So I would be interested to know what the FBI said they were doing. There's some memo somewhere that says we are going to raid John Bolton's house because we're looking for such and such. That's what I want to see. Where's that memo? Because that would be very telling, because they wouldn't be able to incriminate him if, let's say, just for example, it is about the Steele dossier in some way. If they don't state that in their memo, whatever that is, then it's going to be very hard to use it in a court of law. I don't know if they can or not, but I do know it will be difficult. So that's why I want to see that, what they say they're trying to do. And then maybe that would be a hint as to what it is they're really looking for.
Gold is not just a backup plan if the world falls apart. It's an investment opportunity that could set you up for generations. There's never really a bad time to invest in gold, but you want to make sure you have the right guide. And that is where Genesis Gold Group shines. Whether you are a first-time buyer or a seasoned investor, their trusted expertise and competitive pricing makes them an easy choice. They offer tangible assets in case of emergencies, but they can also design the perfect IRA just for you. And they'll even cut through all that confusing red tape from the IRS. We at Filibusted love the genius design of the Prepper Bar, which breaks up into sections like a chocolate bar. But if you prefer a more high-security insured gold storage, they have that too. And unlike Fort Knox, the gold is actually there and 100% owned by you. Genesis Gold Group is a safe, simple, and convenient way to invest. Visit filibustedgold.com today for your free investment guide from Genesis Gold Group.